we have got to talk about a March shopping secret that most people are sleeping on. Frozen food month. Yes, it's a thing. And if you've never shopped strategically for frozen foods in March, you are leaving so much convenience and money on the table. What's that? Oh, let me catch that assumption you just made. I do not have some massive restaurant grade freezer empire, just a regular upstairs one that's playing a constant game of Tetris, and a medium sized one in our townhouse basement that's one frozen broccoli away from rebellion. That's it. There's no extra freezers hidden in a garage that I don't have, no chest freezer doubling as a nightstand. But let me tell you what I do have, a strategy. And with this strategy, I'm buying 15 to 25 bags of frozen food each week without stressing about space. And no, I'm not just tossing things in and hoping for the best. Stick with me, because in this video, I'm going to show you the best way to use your freezer to make canning, meal prep, and cooking a breeze, because hello, I give you a monthly grocery guide and recipe cards, and I'm absolutely going to show you how to use these sales to make the easiest meals of your life. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And you've got to start with that grocery guide that I sent you, because one, it's your curated in-season shopping list. Two, you're going to get all the recipe cards. And three, it's your action plan of what your kitchen needs to prioritize this month. And remember, we focus on specific fruits and veggies as the base of our meals because they're the stars of the season. Doesn't matter where you shop, these foods are abundant at their peak and priced to move. And that means a lower cost for you because these foods haven't racked up hefty storage or transportation fees. So as I get ready to read this list, I need you thinking like a pantry pro. Because in addition to eating these things fresh, are you also going to be canning some, freezing, fermenting, dehydrating, all four? I mean, what's the move? Because trust me, 6 months from now when the prices spike or the supply gets a little wonky, you will be high-fiving yourself for stocking up when the prices were cheaper and plentiful. All right, let's get to it. So your freshest, most affordable picks for vegetables this time of year include things like your leafy greens, so spinach, kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, and mustard greens. Your brassicas, so things like cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage. Root vegetables like carrots, beets, radishes, turnips, rutabagas, and parsnips. Your alliums, so things like green onions, scallions, leeks, shallots, and garlic. And then you have your other cool weather vegetables like asparagus, artichokes, fennel, celery, and mushrooms. When it comes to your fruits, you have a lot of options around citrus this time of year. So oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruits, tangerines, and blood oranges. Also apples, so more of your late season varieties like your Fuji, Granny Smith, and Pink Lady. You also have some varieties of pears that are available. And then berries, they're kind of like a limited availability. And you might start to see strawberries. These are typically for early harvest states like Florida and California. Now, in addition to that list, you also are going to see that the majority of frozen foods are on sale this month. And that's because in 1984, the National Frozen and Refrigerated Foods Association decided to promote the benefits of frozen food. Now, before you think, oh, isn't that so kind? Sweetheart, it's a sales strategy. March falls right before warmer months when people start shifting towards fresh produce. So to clear out inventory, grocery stores slash their frozen food items. And that makes it the perfect time for stocking up sales. So here's your game plan. You are going to stock up on the best frozen food sales this month. Then use your freezer as a temporary holding zone to make cooking and canning easier. And you're also going to do some of these meals I'm going to show you because they're going to save you so much time. Okay, first, let's clear up some frozen food myths. I know some of y'all think that frozen veggies are just sad limp versions of their fresher selves, but that ain't true. Fact one, most frozen veggies are grown and harvested at peak ripeness, meaning they're often more nutritious than the so-called fresh produce that's been chilling on a truck for the past 2 weeks trying to get to you. Fact two, flash freezing locks in nutrients, texture, and flavor. So they keep most of their vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants intact. And fact three, there's probably no difference between the name brand and the store brand of the frozen veggies that you're buying. The majority of them come from the exact same processing plants. Oh, the only thing different is the bag. So save your money and buy the generic. Okay, so now let's talk about what you can actually do with all these frozen food deals. So first everything that I buy frozen, I am going to find a way to make it shelf stable by doing many little projects throughout the week. So in March, as a lot of those items that I have canned the previous year are starting to dwindle down, I am prioritizing those items that I'm going to get at the store based off of my pantry needs. I mean, talk about getting a jump start on your preservation. Y'all, this is it. You don't have to wait for things to come into harvest or out of season prices. The only drawback is that you don't get the whole food form of that ingredient. And I like to cook with scraps, as you know. But I will say this, every time March hits, it is such a like that's when canning season. I mean, I can all year long, but like that's when I'm like, all right, like here we go. We're starting to crank things up. The farmers market opens up next month. But then like canning season really ticks up because so many things are coming into harvest. And I'm telling you, if you're a canner, April, May, June, July, I mean, by the like mid July, I'm starting to get tired. I'm going to persevere. And actually, this year, I'm going to can more than I ever have. But I really like that March is a way to kind of ease into your preservation routine. And you know what? Honestly, I really like a little bit of that break that you get from not having a huge volume of all the things. And you're really just being strategic about okay, what can I go ahead and start to fill some of the gaps now? And then that will determine some of the quantities that I'll can later on in the summer. Does that make sense? So for example, artichokes, which I love. You can either get them in a vinegar brine or they're in some type of oil, but it's most likely a seed oil, which I'm really trying to stay away from. But at home, I am pressure canning them in chicken broth. Yes, it's as delicious as it sounds. And you cannot buy canned artichokes that are simmering in chicken broth.
I just love artichokes, don't you? But let me tell you, already having them prepped makes this easy work. These frozen ones are a good size, and unlike the jarred ones at the store, they aren't packed in questionable oils. Plus, sometimes I go a little crazy and add chili flakes to notch things up, or add Italian herbs to bend things in that direction. I truly have a customized pantry. I prefer my canning liquid to be chicken broth, but I didn't quite have enough of this, so I grabbed a jar of, get this, ham stock mixed with the chicken stock, and let me tell you, these artichokes are downright flavorful. When I'm asked how I get these to taste so good, y'all, this is the secret. I have ruined my dad with this. He loves grabbing jars of my artichokes off the shelf because I do this. Now we're gonna go ahead and spoon our artichokes into jars and put them in the pressure canner. And since I'm not wasting any of this extra broth, I placed it in a half-gallon jar to use another day.
Fire roasted corn is another frozen food item that I love to grab this time of year. Now, a lot of y'all know that I love hand shucking fresh corn from the farmer's market. I love it because I've got to get the cob so I can make my corn cob stock. However, I don't have fire roasted corn. And the fire roasted corn is really good just to like things with flavor like your chowders or your salsas. They give your grits and your cornbread an upgrade too. But being able to have them like already ready, where I am coming home after work and just, I mean, yeah, heating things up, splashing over some broth and walking away. It's just, oh, it's so nice.
So real quick, let me just tuck this in here. So this is what my basement freezer looks like so far. It is actually organized, but these are the bags of like the frozen food items that I buy each week. And I just kind of like stuff them around the open area that I have. And then I use this basket to carry up the frozen items that I'm going to go ahead and can for that particular day or week. So for tonight, I'm going to pressure can just a few bags of fire roasted corn. And we're simply going to dump the bags of frozen corn into a heavy bottom pot. And then you're just going to pour over enough chicken broth to cover, but you can absolutely use plain water. I, again, just prefer broth because it's an easy way to add flavor. Then you're going to let your corn come to a soft rolling boil and ensure that it's fully cooked. And that's a process that'll take around 10 minutes or so, which will give you just enough time to grab your sterilized jars. And then you'll ladle your corn and sufficient broth about 3/4 full. You don't want to overfill your jars as corn really swells and absorbs liquid during the canning process. Top with your lids and rings, and then put them in the pressure canner, 75 minutes for pints or 90 minutes for quarts.
If you've ever peeled and chopped a butternut squash, you know it's an upper body workout. But frozen butternut squash? No peeling, no knife, just dump and it's ready to use. But to be clear, y'all know that I love squash, particularly because it stores so well. Like all throughout, late fall and winter, you can just have your squash sitting out there. But the thing that I particularly love about having a bit of both is that when I just want to make a soup or a puree or something for baking, it's so nice just to like grab a jar off the shelf and to be able to get the quantity that I want sometimes the trade-off of having it in frozen form first, I mean, it wins out.
These bags of butternut squash have saved my sanity as well as upcoming dinners because I love butternut squash soup, which since I'm adding them to chicken broth, darling, I'm about 80% there. Now, this squash will be super soft, which is why you should only can it if you plan on using it in recipes like ravioli filling, muffins, or as pie filling. This recipe needs to be pressure canned since it's a low acid food, but again, do you see how fast I got this food in jars?
I also like grabbing several bags of mixed fruit this time of year, and I will just can it and blend it up because anytime I want a smoothie, hey, my freezer isn't huge. And so I cannot have like several bags of fruit because I want to prioritize things in my freezer like ready to go freezer meals or actually like whole cuts of meats, stuff like that. And so I absolutely love making a smoothie in the morning just by taking like the little shaker cup and I'll pour in some of my berry mix and then I'll add a little bit of like kefir, shake it up, maybe throw in some little supplements and I'm done, right? I don't even have to get out the whole like blender and all that stuff in the morning, honey. It just would not happen. But I just love having pureed fruit on hand that I can, add to teas or then make like a quick little breakfast syrup. It is just so nice to have your fruit shelf stable.
I like combining my fruit, so I've got a bag of raspberries, blueberries, mixed berries, and strawberries. So you're gonna start by pouring all of your fruit into a heavy bottom pot, and then you're gonna add the sweetener of your choice. I'm using a 50-50 mix of regular brown sugar and then a low glycemic brown sugar. You'll then need to add lemon juice, which increases the acidity of the fruit to ensure that it's shelf stable. And then I like to use an immersion blender to blend the fruit once it's cooled a bit, like on the stove. And then see, this is already ready for ladling over summer bowls of ice cream or pies, or dumping it into a smoothie with a ripe banana and some milk. Top your stock pot with water 1 inch over the jars and bring to a rolling boil for 15 minutes. Let the jars cool for about 12 hours and you're done.
Okay, so I'm going to add these next 2 items to this week's shopping list. I just didn't get a chance to complete them yet, but I've already shared this with you last year. So one of the things that I love buying this time of year is your frozen orange juice and pineapple juice. So again, these are items that I do appreciate having from time to time, but I'm not going to give them freezer space because I just turn my pineapple juice, which serves as the base of like different kind of juices, as well as orange juice. And you just pressure can it, y'all. You just pressure can it. And I love being able to do this because it does not take up valuable freezer space. And one of the things that I love about this is that when I'm ready to make, the orange juice or pineapple juice, I'll just chill it in the fridge. And then I'm able to kind of mix and dilute it a little bit more because those juices are they're so sweet just naturally on their own. So I can dilute it down. It's ready to go. I can travel with it when we go on, like our little family trips. It's so nice to have shelf stable orange juice and pineapple juice. I absolutely love canning my greens from frozen foods because of this reason. One, it's just the sheer amount of volume from fresh that you would need that's going to like keep cooking all the way down that you're going to need to then can. When I buy it frozen, I already know it's this much. You dump it, you reheat it, you season it, can it, boom, you're done, right? There's no like chopping, cutting. There's none of that. And so whenever I want to, it's been so nice being able to reach for a jar of spinach that I want to add to, soups or casseroles or, some type of like beef pot pie. And it's done. It's already done. My collard greens, y'all. So I do need to get some more collard greens. And then I'll combine that with like a little bit of ham, with like the ham bone broth. Y'all, like I am completely going to hook it up and it's not going to be taking me all day. So what I then do is I will get several bags, throw them in the roaster, and I mean, easy peasy.
Now, this is just my preference, not a rule, but I prefer whole leaf spinach versus chopped. It's just easier to spoon, but this is some organic spinach that I picked up, and by now you know the routine. I'm telling you, if you want to stock your pantry with fresh greens, leveraging a frozen food sale is the fastest way to get you there.
If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Cassandra from the blog becomingafarmgirl.com, and I'm here to help teach you how to cook with what's on sale and season, and better yet, already on your shelf. You can get my free monthly grocery guide in your inbox by clicking the link in the description box or in the pinned comment below. Now let me show you some March meals you're going to want to make this month. It may be time for you to treat yourself to some Cajun fish and corn chowder. Let me clarify, that's restaurant level chowder.
You're likely to find frozen fish on sale this month, which means it's a good time to stock up on the wild-caught varieties, which are more expensive than farm-raised, but provide higher nutrient density. I love a good fish chowder because you can easily adjust the recipe depending on the amount and type of fish that you have on hand. And in this recipe, I'm using wild-caught haddock fillets, as well as some wild-caught sockeye salmon. Now, feel free to use whatever fish you may already have or is your preference to buy. Many variations in this recipe still turn out excellent. Let's begin with some celery. Chop up several cups depending on the amount that you want to appear in each spoonful. And then you're going to heat a heavy bottom pot with a splash of olive oil and then add the celery to the pan. Next, grab some asparagus, which is an excellent source of fiber and cholesterol regulator, and chop that up. Add it to the pan, along with some chopped onion and garlic. I am convinced the more the better, but at least 2 tablespoons. Now let's add the corn, and this is some corn that I shucked myself last summer. It's been marinated in chicken broth, so it is super savory. You're gonna dump the corn and the juices into the pot. Then grab some potatoes. I'm using the last bit of what I have on hand. Chop them up and toss them into the pan along with a can of evaporated milk, which was on sale during February's canned food month. And season with Cajun seasoning, oregano, pepper. Then toss in your fresh or dried mushrooms and the fish fillets. Mix everything to combine, cover, and let simmer for about 20 minutes until you get something that looks like this. A creamy and milk broth-based soup bursting with flavor and texture from the fish, the vegetables, and the herbs. This is so delish. Now, I'm going to freeze the portion that we're not eating for tonight's dinner, and then I'm actually going to save the broth that I made that's left over for another meal.
This next recipe is a foolproof dinner. I mean, it has a cornbread topping.
All right, so to a pan, you are going to add some diced onion and bell peppers. Give that a good blend until things start to become translucent, and then season with hefty amounts of garlic. After that, you're going to add your ground beef and let that cook up. So while that's browning up, go ahead and prepare your cornbread mix. And then you're going to need these 3 canned ingredients. You're going to dump in a can of black beans and then diced tomatoes and then finally green chilies. Oh my goodness. Look, this looks so beautiful. Smells even better. Give that a good stir. Then season to taste with cumin, chili powder, a little bit of salt and pepper, then add in some cream cheese to make this super creamy and decadent. Now, I'm preparing this as a freezer meal, but you could go ahead and just bake everything in that pan. So you're gonna take your cornbread topping and ladle hearty amounts of that over top, and then you're gonna go back and just smooth out your topping, kind of like you're icing a cake. Then place your pans in the oven to bake your cornbread, so about 30 minutes, and this is what comes out. Oh my Lanta. It's so hearty, right? You've got the beef, you've got the cornbread, you've got the excellent flavors from the peppers and the onions. I mean, this thing is a stick to your ribs kind of meal. And you probably have all the ingredients in your pantry.
You are going to love this one pan smothered chicken and rice with greens. Everything cooks in the pan. The rice soaks up that creamy goodness. Maybe this will be your dinner tonight.
This meal starts by adding a good portion of butter to a pan, chopped onion, and then bell peppers. Next, you'll add several tablespoons of garlic and give things a good stir. Now grab your bag of frozen spinach and add that to the mix. And since I don't want to waste the broth from the chowder we just made, I'm repurposing some of the extra to serve as the base for this meal. So let's pour that in. Now we're going to take some of the homemade rice-a-roni that I showed you how to make in my dry mix video, and we're going to add 2 cups of that in. And to make this recipe move right on along, we're going to add some canned chicken breast. Remember, this is fully cooked, super tender meat that's been marinating in its own juices for all the months that it's been on the shelf. No fillers, just pure meat. So yeah, we'll add in 2 quarts and season with some herbs and spices like so. You're going to want to let things cook down and thicken up because this is a thick, stick to your fork kind of meal, which may not translate on camera, but I assure you the taste and the belly filling satisfaction is there. Man, that dinner came together quick, didn't it?
Need a quick breakfast that brings the fiber and flavor? Here you go.
Let's begin by browning the sausage for this meal, and once that's going, we'll clean our mushrooms, which is a very important step because fresh mushrooms often have residue from the compost that they're grown in the nooks and crannies, and you want that out. So a salad spinner makes this easy work. See, look at how good it cleans the mushrooms. You're going to want to repeat this for 1 or 2 times until the water is clean, then chop up your mushrooms and add them to the pan. Now it's time to chop up our bell peppers, and I'm just removing the tops and the center core. But don't forget to cut around the top of the pepper. Many folks toss this part out, but don't let that be you. Get your money's worth. Then you're going to slice and dice the rest of this, add it to the skillet along with some onions and garlic, of course. You're then going to season your pan with smoked paprika, seasoned salt, and stir everything to combine. Next, grab a can of black beans, drained and rinse them to the skillet, mixing things right on in. After this step, you're going to crack a few eggs to act as a binder and then beat them to combine. And then you're going to grab your sweet potato puffs, which I found at a great price this month in the freezer aisle. And I'm just heating them up to cook in the oven. Now, once these are fully cooked, you're going to add your breakfast sausage over the top of the sweet potato puffs. Then sprinkle with cheese. This is a sharp cheese blend. And lastly, you're going to pour over your egg batter. You'll stick your pans in the oven until the mixture fully firms and cooks up. And what comes out is this delicious casserole. So I've topped mine with some creme fraiche, and let me tell you, this recipe is dense. It's perfect for when you need fuel that will slowly burn over the next few hours. If you overeat it, which is easy to do, you'll be laid out on the couch somewhere. Just saying. If you need a sweeter start to your day, peach cobbler is the win for frozen food month. This recipe starts with a good amount of butter, followed by a can of frozen peaches. Next, add some brown sugar, sweeten to your preference with some cinnamon, a splash of vanilla, and a sprinkle of ground nutmeg. Thoroughly mix until your peaches are fully cooked and the syrup reaches your desired thickness and taste. Mine looks like this. We're keeping things simple with another frozen sale item, puff pastry, and this brand doesn't have any junk or GMO ingredients, so I grab it when I can. It's a bit more expensive, but it tastes great. So now we just assemble everything. We'll ladle our peaches and simple syrup into a baking dish and top with our puff pastry, and then slice vent holes to make sure that we allow room for the steam to escape during the baking process. And the very last step is to use an egg wash to paint over the pastry dough. The purpose of this is to give the final product that golden brown color that is slightly shiny. So you're going to pop this in the oven, and what comes out in about 15 minutes is a delicious dessert that maybe took you 10 to 12 minutes of prep time to assemble.
All right, y'all. So March is the end of the season month, meaning that you are going to find some excellent clearance items. So I want you to poke around your thrift stores because here's where you can start to find things like coats, sweaters, and gloves that are all going to be marked down. You're also going to find markdowns at your regular stores like Walmart, and this is a great opportunity to stash items away for this upcoming holiday season. And no, it's not too early, people. It's already March. A quarter of the year is already gone. It'll be here before you know it. And if you walk by those sales knowing that you could have paid X and you see the markup, come on now. All right, y'all. So I know I'm a little late with this month's pantry chat, but I have a good excuse. My family's in town. Okay, so those of y'all with fur babies, I think you're really gonna enjoy this next scene. And your fur babies are members of the family. So Thor knows that I'm mama, that his dad is dad, he knows my mom is Nana, and my dad is grandpa. And he is head over heels in love with my dad. I am telling you, the greeting that Thor gives him every single time he visits, oh, it is so endearing. I just said grandpa's here. Now he's running. Yeah, grandpa's here. Grandpa's here, Booba.
Okay, Thor, just run right past me like I ain't nothing.
Every single time.
Hey, little fella. Huh? Did you miss me?
I told you, Booba.
Did you miss
Yeah. There's my buddy. There's my buddy.
Doesn't that just melt your heart? Yep. So while my family was up, we usually decide to do like a day trip in state or around the tri-state area. And for this particular visit, we wanted to take a trip to Monticello, which is the home of Thomas Jefferson. Now, although I've been there 2 other times, once with my husband and another time with my dad, I think it's been within this past year that they've opened up the 3rd floor of the estate, and it has never been available to the public until now. And so I definitely wanted to go back because I had seen pictures before of the yellow room, but now is our chance before the busyness of, the summer crowds to finally see Monticello's 3rd floor.
I just love the Charlottesville area, and returning to Monticello for what will be my 3rd visit still felt exciting and new. This clock, designed in 1792, is still fully operational and has not changed its decimal level during this time. Talk about quality craftsmanship. Touring the Grand Foyer, which feels like a museum collection featuring some of the artifacts Jefferson was most proud of, immediately captures the hallmarks of early American history. And seeing restoration workers work on the house was a sneak peek into how preserving historical sites is ongoing work. It's hard not to be impressed and connected to the clear signs of innovation, design, functionality, and the weaving of narratives, not just of Thomas Jefferson, but his public and personal life, his family, and the hundreds of people, from diplomats to indentured or enslaved, that contributed to the success not only of the estate, but supporting the work of establishing the foundation of a country with ideas of democracy. Exploring the 3rd floor of the estate, which is now open to the public, provided an even deeper look into family life, as this floor was reserved mostly for them and private guests. I'm telling you, the work of historians and artisans that work to painstakingly bring us accurate replicas of what these rooms look like is impressive. Now, I was most excited to see the yellow room of the estate, arguably the most beautiful space in all of Monticello, and yet one of the least used by Jefferson himself. Bathed in natural light and painted a soft chrome yellow, which cost a fortune at the time, this room was meant to impress, but barely anyone saw it. And then tucked behind it, there's this hidden door like a secret chamber. It's Jefferson's version of a walk-in closet, or perhaps a quiet retreat from his own guest. Our tour ended with a walk around the exterior of the property, and Dad and I took a picture in the exact spot we did 10 years ago when we first visited. I can't believe it's already been a decade, but that's how time seems to work these days. This time, my brother and I took a picture, as did he with Mom. I strongly encourage you to visit and support the local historical sites near you, as 100% of the funds go towards preserving living history, not only for us to enjoy and learn from now, but for future generations. So 10 years later, Dad, we made it back to the date.
Yeah.
Yep. And this time we did the 3rd floor.
Yeah. It is nice up there.
Yeah, that was nice.
Wish I could have got up on actually going outside and get some really nice pictures and stuff.
Yeah. Just beyond the main house lies Monticello Cemetery, a quiet tree-shaded plot where Jefferson and several of his family members are buried. His own grave is marked by a tall obelisk highlighting the things that he believed mattered most, like founding the University of Virginia and authoring the Declaration of Independence. Still privately owned by his descendants, the cemetery is one of the oldest family burial grounds still in use today.
Okay, so those of y'all who have kept up with the 2 videos that I've posted before this pantry chat are going to be a little blown away by this. So what I shared in the 2 previous videos was I did a video all about freezer meals, and they were dinner freezer meals, and then I did a second follow-up video to that showing breakfast freezer meals. And everything that I was preparing for those, like that I was using like the disposable aluminum tin pans, which I never cook in, was strategic because that was food that I planned on cooking for my family because I knew that they were coming up this month, and I wanted them to take all of that food. So like all of that food that I made was for them, and I was sending it back with them, get this, on a plane. Now this hack that I'm about to share ain't for everybody, and I get it, but I actually think that it is pretty brilliant. So some of y'all know, as I've shared in a previous video, that my brother had a very serious health scare earlier this year, and he's been in a months-long process of rehabilitation. And as a part of that, my parents have just been so busy. So like, I'm the only one here in Maryland. Everybody else is down in Florida. And so as a result of like his care, it's just changed their routine so much, and the appointments that he has to go to and classes and just all of these things. And as part of that care, it's been really intensive for my folks because first he was in the hospital for several weeks, and now he's transitioned into their house for the next couple of months as he continues to attend appointments and whatnot. And so one of the things, as my parents have been very kind of busy with him and me being here at a distance, I have visited often, is I'm thinking thinking about what ways I can tangibly support, my family from a distance. And quite honestly, one of that has been meals. And here's the thing. I absolutely think every single meal that I made, which is why I was really trying to explain the health benefits of what I was adding to those meals, you cannot buy quality meals or recipes stacked with that amount of nutrients and all of the kind of supplements that I was adding, like anywhere, And so those meals are worth their weight in gold. And so I figured, here's the thing, and this isn't the first time that we've done it, but now I've just really expanded it. I don't know about other airlines because, I just don't know. But I do know that Southwest allows you to check, I think it's 1 or 2 bags. No, you can check 1 bag for flies for free. And then you can also have like a purse and then like a carry-on with you. And so, honey, that actually applies to fully frozen food. Doesn't matter what it is. And so since they were coming up in March, like wherever they store, the luggage and stuff, it's not like heated or cooled. And so like the temperature is still right. And then it's a one-way flight that they're getting for 2 hours. And so I was able to take all of those freezer meals and I went to the thrift store where I am able to find on brand, like name luggage. So it's good and sturdy. I found like a Samsonite luggage thing for like $8, y'all. $8. That is cheaper than what like insulated grocery bags or reusable bags, are going for. And I just simply take that food and I put it in insulated bags in the luggage and I send it back with them. Remember, these are suitcases that I will eventually get back from my family. Like no one's worried, about the suitcases. So we just do this little like shuffling act. And now I've been able to cook essentially over nearly a month's worth of food for my family. Easy peasy. There's no like shipping. The transportation and logistics of that is super easy. And so let me show you exactly how it's done.
I ate over 20 different meals in container sizes that will easily provide 2 meals worth each to stuff into suitcases that would fly one way back to Florida. Now, the key is to use quality insulated bags, and what I went back and did but didn't show here was to line each of these bags with trash bags for extra leak protection. But Mom and Dad shared that things were still frozen solid when they got home, and they live nearly an hour away from the airport. Now, y'all that keep up with me see the bargains that I regularly get, and while some is for my household, it's also for my folks. So one of these suitcases was filled just with pantry goods, like a healthy real fruit flavored version of oatmeal that I knew my dad would like, some keto options for when their sweet tooth strikes, matcha powder because it's filled with antioxidants, and meal toppings like French onions. Dad loves these. Matcha and some of the syrup and monk fruit and stevia. I found all that stuff for 70% off in January. I really encourage you to do the same for your family, friends, and loved ones. My folks tell me all the time how much they enjoy eating my food for breakfast or dinner and that they can feel the difference in terms of their energy, satiation, and just experiencing different cuisine. Plus, having ready-to-go meals really frees up their time in the morning or the evenings, and I'm happy to lend my strength of cooking and meal prep to my family as they do other things that I can't do. I also loaded my family down with a couple of bags of the angel hair palm of Hertz pasta that I get at my Aldi, which just started selling it. And Mom said that hers isn't carrying it yet. So, we'll do things like this, right? And so I'm at the store, I just think of them. And just like that, you can send a month's worth of meals back with your family for free. My brother even took one of the bags as his carry-on. Bye, Dad. Love you guys.
To get more recipe inspiration, click on the video on your screen. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.